How I built 150K a month content agency at 19. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have made a lot of mistakes throughout the process of me building my agency. Mistakes that cost me months. Mistakes that honestly once, and we'll get into this a bit later, almost cost me everything. And, for a long time, I was too stubborn to admit that I needed help. I was too stubborn to, slow down and actually, build something that would last. But now, me and my partners are collectively doing 150K a month with our agency. I'm 19 years old. I'm from and live in South Africa, a third world country, actually. And really, I'm making this video for the younger version of me, the kid who was grinding on a shit PC at 3 a.m., thinking he was doing everything right, not realizing he was about to run face first into a wall, right? I've never actually made a video about this. It's going to be super, super interesting, but it's going to be the full business story, right? Like how I actually started, how everything happened, what worked, what broke, what I do differently, and, finally, what actually made everything click. So if you're watching this right now, maybe you want to start an online business or you've already started an online business, you have an agency and, you're just running into a bunch of mistakes, this video is going to give you a lot of value because I've actually been in this game for a very long time. I started in 2023. It's now 2026 now, and it's been 4 years. But anyways, yeah, I digress. We'll get into that later in the video. Let's get into it. So, section one, how did I even start with this, agency business model? So, I was 15. It was 2022 around September, I think, and I just wanted to make money. I started off as a video editor. I was editing videos. I was in the trenches, like YouTube short form, honestly, whatever I could get my hands on. I had known how to edit like YouTube videos in the past because I had like my own YouTube channel when I was a kid a while ago. But the first client I actually got was for short form, and I had no fucking idea how to edit short form. But I decided I'm just gonna do it, and I did. Funny story actually. So the way I got my first client was I was in a Discord server of a YouTuber called Hamza, and then I just searched in the search bar looking for video editor. I reached out to everyone, and I got my first client within I think it was in a week. Yeah, it was within a week. He paid me, I remember it was $100 a month for 60 short form videos, which is literally fucking nothing. But, back then, that was a lot to me. My first client did actually end up scamming me, but he paid me back a year later. Funny, funny story. But I digress. So yeah, I was a video editor. I scaled it up. I got a few more clients. I was just editing videos, and you know, I was making around 500 to $1,000 a month. And, you know, at the time I was very young. I didn't know anything about money. I was 15 years old. I was living in South Africa. I was in my parents' bedroom. I was making like 500 to $1,000 a month. I felt like, and I was still in school, by the way. I did online school, but I was still doing high school. Like I would still like show up for my classes and pretend to be there while I was editing videos. But I felt like the richest person alive. That's honestly like, even as I've made so much more money right now, I think what, 100x that, 1000x that. Back then, that was the richest I felt. But, I was still a video editor. I was editing 12 to 14 hours a day on a PC that honestly was like really fucking shit. It had no right running the software I was running. And I realized pretty quickly, like, I wasn't even running a business. It was a job, sure, a job that paid more than an actual fucking real job. But, it was an exhausting one that I gave myself. And yeah, there was a very, very, I know it says here there's no ceiling, but there was a ceiling. And the ceiling was very, very short. There was no leverage. There was nothing to build. I was just trading hours for money and running out of hours. There's only so many hours in a day. I can't add more. So I started looking for something else, right? And this leads us into part two, starting my agency and how I found the model. And this is where it gets interesting. And I'll keep the details vague here just to not expose the guy. But if you're watching this, you know how you are. But basically, I was still like a video editor, and I started working for someone who was building something called a content agency. So he wasn't anyone in info or anyone who wanted video edits. He actually ran an agency, and he hired me as I was the first ever editor he hired. Funnily enough, I just remembered. And watching him build it, I realized like this is what I need to do because I was fucking making. I was charging. I don't even remember like what. I think it was $9 a minute for a long form video, and he had clients who were paying him $6,000 a month. And he wasn't editing anything. Like he had a team, right? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I need to be doing this. So I told him like, yo, I'll edit the videos for you for free, but in return, I want you to coach me on exactly what you do. And he did that. He showed me how it worked, and I made a decision. Like I'm going to start my own agency. So yeah, this is around now, yeah, beginning of 2023. So, it's April 2023. I'm still in school. I'm still editing. Like I still kept editing. I'd like to keep cash coming in because I had to like go out and, buy bottles and show that I still had aura. But yeah, no, I'm lying. Like I was reinvesting everything back into the agency. Basically what I did was someone sent me a cold DM on Twitter and I paid him to do lead gen for me. And it actually went really, really badly. Even though it was a good offer, we didn't make any money the first month. But I stopped working with him. But two of the leads he reached out to eventually came back to me on their own, right? They just saw the message like 2, 3 months later. And I signed my first client for $1,500. 3 days later, another one for $1,000. A few days after that, another one for $500. And this was, April 2023, just before. I remember the $1,500 one was, when was it? Yeah, it was April 7th, 2023. So 3 days after my birthday. And then after that, I closed another $1,000 one, then a $500 one. And then I stacked a few more projects. And, it's 2023. I'm 16 years old and I hit my first 5K a month. Now, obviously, like signing someone for $500 a month is absolutely nothing. I would not charge that now. I wouldn't take anything on for that. But it meant everything to me in that moment, right? Like I was 16, closing clients from literally my parents' bedroom in fucking South Africa, in the middle of South Africa, by the way, not Cape Town. And the thing honestly that was like fueling all of this and that I still use to this day and that all of you should use too was outreach, right? Specifically the offer like that got me my first few clients was I told them I would do their first 2 weeks. I'd make, I'll do like the strategy, the ideation, the scripts, yada, 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 everything. For short form, I do the first 2 weeks for free. And then I'd say in return, I just want a video testimonial. And then that offer absolutely fucking cooked for me. And then what I would do is I would get them on a call to get me the testimonial. And then afterwards I would close them and get them on full time. It's a really, really good offer. Like I showed them free value up front. And guess what? It's something that still works to this day. And the reason why it works is because no one wants to fucking do it. They're too lazy, right? But yeah, that offer cooks. It still can cook today if you execute it right. Like a bit of a side note, but like the old way of doing cold outreach is fucking dead. Like the way of saying, hey, whatchamacallit, I don't even fucking remember. It's those messages where it's like, mind if I send over this asset, or like I do XYZ, just telling them your offer. Like that does not work. It hasn't worked in a very, very long time, and it's because everyone's burnt, right? But the outreach method, that'll always work, and it'll always work because 99.9% of people are absolutely fucking lazy. You know what it is? It's sending free value up front. Not even saying, hey, I made you this, can I send it over? Because that's switch and bait. We like the prospect and you know you have not made the asset, but just sending it up front, it gets you a foot in the door, and it's really, really easy to close from there, especially if, at the beginning, like sure, the free value you send might suck. My short form definitely did fucking suck. I don't even remember how I did the scripts. But as you get better too as well, the free value you give is going to get better. And then, the leads that you're reaching out to are going to probably be able to see a direct ROI from that. And it's going to be so much easier to close then. And again, no one wants to do it because they're all fucking lazy. I saw on Twitter the other day, there's some method that kids do where they pretend to send you a free YouTube script, and then there's no access on the Google Drive folder. And then when the person like requests access, then they actually go and write it. But that's like retarded because you lose like the leads. But you can see how, everyone's like fucking lazy and they don't want to do the work. But a bit of a tangent. So let's move on. Like, yeah, now I'm 16 years old. I'm making 5K a month. It's 2023. I feel like the fucking man. I think I'm the richest person in the world. And alongside the outreach, I started posting on Twitter. This was like the prime money Twitter era. Like I'm talking when, all the boys, Cardinal, Mason, Ben Bader, all of them were in their prime. If you know, if you don't, then well, too late. You weren't tapped in. But yeah, I went all in with Twitter. I still have to this day. I think I've tweeted like 18,000 times. Absolutely fucking crazy. Like I was consistent. I was posting what I was learning. I was documenting my journey. I was honestly posting like a bunch of fucking bullshit if I look back on it. But, I was putting myself out there even when I had nothing to show for it. And the thing about consistency is it doesn't pay you immediately, but eventually it does. Like it will. Every tweet I posted was compounding. Every piece of content was a small deposit that would eventually add up to something real. And it did. Like for a long time, I would get so many fucking clients from Twitter. I still do to this day, and I'm clouded up on Twitter. Like all the big people in info, all the OGs, like they follow me because I was consistent. I kept showing up and I actually posted valuable stuff. And this is another lesson for you guys if you are running an agency. Like start a personal brand. I still think Twitter is absolutely great, but also post on Instagram, also post on YouTube. Like if you have a content agency offer and you're not doing what you offer clients for yourself, that's a bit suspect because if you're telling someone, you can book them 30 qualified sales calls from YouTube. Why aren't you booking 30 qualified sales calls from YouTube? Are you not confident in your process? Like, what's going on there? But anyway, I digress. Start a personal brand. If you're starting out, I would still do Twitter, but I'd focus a bit more on Instagram because it's a bit harder now on Twitter. Like, you kind of need to, yeah, it's a bit harder. Money Twitter's kind of fallen off, but it is still great. So I would focus on those two. And then, yeah, so still running my agency. And then around June 2023, I met someone called Usama, who is now my head of editing. He had a team. He was exceptional at editing, but he wasn't the best at sales and marketing. Now, I was the exact opposite, right? I wasn't like, they're really, when I first saw their edits, like it blew my fucking mind. I did not know you could edit like that. And yeah, what I did was I basically dropped every other freelancer I was working with and I made him my go-to guy for the editing side. And this was the first real unlock, right? Because now I could focus like solely on sales and strategy instead of just like managing a dozen different freelancers. Like at one point I had like 8 different editors all over, like some in Discord, some in WhatsApp, some on Twitter. I had to like message them every day and just pester them about, where the fuck are the videos? And I was just taking up way too much time. And this is another lesson that we'll get into a bit later, but you always want to hire out and make sure like you're focused on the high leverage stuff. But yeah, locked in with Usama, had a really, really solid editing team. And then I started landing bigger names. First ever big client I got was Alex Sedlak. And we went on an absolute fucking generational run together. I don't know why I haven't made a case study YouTube video about this, but yeah, when he came to me, he was at 32,000 subscribers. We took him to 43K in 4 months. So yeah, growth of about like 10K subs, which pretty fucking sick. Like, yeah, he already had an existing audience, but all of the most popular videos on his channel to this day are still the ones like I did. Like before that, our most popular video only had around 5K views. And you can see here, like, absolute fucking run. We started here. And this is also when I started, because before, like, I was only just doing like just editing for like the clients I had. I wasn't really doing scripts and like the strategy stuff. So I wasn't even running an agency. I was more like a middleman. But with Alex, he started asking me for ideas. He started asking me like, what do you think is like, what would work well? And, I just took that upon myself. I learned the skill and I got absolutely fucking dialed in with it. Like this video, how to get rich off TikTok in 2024. I told him like, yo, let's just fucking run this. And then 43K views, and we just went on a run, 54K, 66K, 67K. Here's the big one, because I remember like this one was doing super, super well. And then I told Alex like, yo, let's just take this, because here we spoke about like the 3 different ways to make money with TikTok Shop. But in the comments, most of the people were asking about the creativity program. So I told him, yo, let's just make a guide on that. And 154K views, absolutely fucking insane. And then, we continue to go on a run. I'm so grateful for Alex. Like, he's a G, we're still good friends. And, working with him opened so many doors for me. And then, yeah, so many doors I didn't even know existed. And then, yeah, this was still 2023. Around this period, I also started working with Luke Alexander, another big name in the info space. I was on his thumbnail team for it. Yeah, we started off with just YouTube. I think I did 1 video and then we did thumbnails for like a year. Working with Luke really, really helped me out. And then probably one of the biggest guys in the info space right now, I started working with Sue. I still have the testimonial actually I got from him somewhere on his Instagram. When he just started, I started with him. I don't remember how many followers we ended up getting to. I think it was around 20K. That's before we parted ways, but I ran him up until there. That also helped me a lot. And you guys can kind of see a pattern, right? Like back here, when I was just starting out, I was working with pretty small guys, and we'll get into this a bit later. I did really, really good work for them. Like always from the beginning, I was so big on customer service and making sure that not only clients get a really, really good result, but also that, the service is exceptional, because, you can only guarantee results towards a point. But what you can guarantee is making sure deliverables are met, making sure fucking communication is absolutely dialed in, and making sure like it's just a pleasure for them to work with you. And that's exactly how I landed Alex. So Alex's DM setter at the time, his name's Isaiah. He was a client for just editing. We were doing like 3 short form stuff a week. And then he really liked the stuff. I gave him a really good service. He put me in touch with Alex and I absolutely killed it. And then, I started posting the stuff I was doing for Alex on Twitter. And then Sue DM'd me on Twitter. Like, you see it all comes full circle. Same thing with Luke. Luke put out a tweet that he was looking for someone for editing and that I should email someone. And then I emailed his creative director at the time, Blake, and I just sent him like the stuff I did for Alex, and bang, I had my foot in the door. But anyway, yeah, more referrals, things were moving. But I was stuck between 5 and 8K a month for honestly longer than I want to admit. And the reason was simple. I hadn't, like, at this point, I honestly wasn't really running a real agency. I was just a middleman, a more advanced middleman, you know, better than still fucking editing myself, but it wasn't a real business. There were no real systems. I didn't have an offer. Like, I would just tell people like, yo, I'll edit your videos. Yeah, I was just doing good work and hoping it would compound into something, but that's not enough, right? You need to have you need to run an actual business. You need to treat it like a business and actually have systems, right? Which leads me into section 4, which was me putting my balls on the table. So, this is around the beginning of 2024. 2023 is still stuck around 5 to 8K a month. And me and Usama made a decision, right? We bought a coaching program called Client Ascension in March of 2024. And that was $12,000. Okay. We did not have $12,000 to completely spend, but we put it on the table anyway, because we both knew that what we were doing wasn't working. Like, our editing was so good, but we were still stuck, like, charging like low ticket retainers, working with shitty clients, not putting ourselves out there. Like, we needed to learn from someone who had done exactly what we wanted to do, and we needed to do it, and we needed to do it fast. So otherwise we were just going to get passed by the people who had those systems in place. So yeah, you know, we went all in, we put our balls on the table, we bought Client Ascension. And that is honestly, to this day, one of the best decisions I have ever made, right? They helped us build an actual agency and not just a freelance operation with a fucking fancy name, a real functioning business with systems, with a real offer, with a fulfillment process, with sales and marketing processes, like the whole thing. And I remember we bought Client Ascension in March of 2024. 3 weeks later, April 2024, April 4th, my 17th birthday, I made $7,500 in a single day. I booked 3 sales calls that day, closed every single one, fucking electric. By the end of that month, I was at 15K. By October 2024, I had hit a record month of 20K. Like, we were absolutely fucking ripping in 2024. I was 17 years old, still in high school at this point too as well. And the biggest reason for that, and something you guys should do, as soon as you make, obviously vets and make sure it's good, but as soon as you make a bit of money and you have some money to spare, don't go to the club and buy fucking bottles. Invest in a mentor, invest in coaching, because it will change your life. It's changed mine every single time, and it's something that will never end. You'll always need more guidance. You know, you have fucking one mouth and 2 ears for a reason. You should be listening more than you're speaking. So invest in a mentor, but we'll get into that a bit later. So yeah, 2024, absolutely fucking cooking. And then going into 2025, we were still around like the 20K range. We were trying to push. And then I met someone who changed the trajectory of literally everything with the agency. So section 5, Ben Bader. So in June 2025, I landed Ben as a client. He was a big name in the info space, one of the OGs, and he had a real audience, he had a real business, and he got our name into rooms we had no business being in yet. He pinned my contact inside his coaching program. I remember he told me, and then the next day I had like 10 people hitting me up. What a G. But yeah, the results we got him were absolutely great too. Like Instagram, YouTube growth as well. We didn't help him with YouTube. We helped him with just his Instagram. But because our Instagram was like doing so well, as you guys can see, actually these have more views, and I should have updated this. But that fed his YouTube too as well, like the whole thing, as you can see here. Us in Slack with Ben, banger. But more than the business side of it, like, Ben was genuinely a good person, the kind of person who, you know, shows up in your life at exactly the right time and just makes you better by just being around them. Ben passed away last year in October of 2025. I'm not going to dwell on it too long because I don't think that's what he'd want, but I'm not going to skip over it either because, you know, he deserved to be mentioned. I think Ben was the first ever like big whale client that I landed, and he changed not only the trajectory of my business, but my life too as well, in, you know, such a positive way. Like, he's a big part of, you know, why my agency became what it is, and he was a good man. So rest in peace, Ben. This one's for you, and I appreciate you, brother, and I'll keep going hard for you. But yeah, section 6, agency health. So after Ben, things were moving, right? We hit 30K a month in June 2025. We had consistent, like, around 33 to 35 like months all the way to October. And then in October, we hit a record month. We did about 40K. And that's when I made a mistake that almost like ended everything. What I did basically is I scaled too fast, and this is something you should never do. Do not take on more clients than you can handle. And if you do, hire fast. I took on more clients than I could handle, and I didn't hire fast enough. And yeah, we just did not have the capacity to serve like all of the people we had. And also, I want you guys to keep in mind, at the same time this was happening, I went to Europe for 2 months. I was in Eastern Europe in Georgia. I wasn't even with my parents. I had dropped out of high school in this part. We'll get into that a bit later. But yeah, 2025, I dropped out of high school too as well. My last year, I just didn't have the time for it. So like I was on my own. And at the same time, like the business was going through shit, bro. Like we had a lot of fulfillment issues. We had a lot of stuff that was late and the system was just breaking. We bit off way more than we could chew. Like November and December, like all the way starting from like here in 2022, like the worst months we've ever had were November and December. Like at one point, I remember I was in Europe and for just like a split second, like 2 seconds, I thought I might have to get a job. Like just might, but I didn't. Anyway, but yeah, agency hell is a real thing and it will find you if you build everything on a shaky foundation, right? I learned that the hard way. I didn't have the right people in place. I was still closing people. Like I just should have not done that. I should have hired first, or rather I should have hired faster and hired in advance. But you know, that didn't happen. But and it was shit. I won't even lie. Like I was waking up and there were fires that I had to deal with every single day. And I was just in a bad mental state. But I'm super, super grateful for these ones. Super, super grateful because what I learned was it'll be okay. Like no matter how bad it gets, if you build something real, you can rebuild it. A bit of a side note, this is more personal, but when I went to Europe too as well, um, I had like 50 bucks in my bank account. I literally like yeah, I bought the flight. I don't know why. I just wanted to get out of my fucking hometown. I had 50 bucks in my bank account, went to Europe, and then I remember we got into the first Airbnb and then I asked my friend like, yo, you think that's, I never drink tap water. I only drink from like bottled water, as you can see here. But I asked him like, yo, you think tap water is safe to drink? But I bought water anyway because another side note, but you know, being broke, like that's not your bank account, that's a state of mind. Yeah, like if you have an abundance mindset and you think as the person who's achieved everything you want to achieve, like it doesn't matter what's in your bank account, the reality will catch up eventually. But yeah. So I had $50 in my bank account, and then the next day I closed the client for $4,000, literally out of nowhere, as we were driving to the Airbnb that we hadn't paid for yet. Don't do it as extreme as me. That's a story for another day. But just something I wanted to add because, like, no matter what happens, like everything will be okay. Right? If you build something real, you can rebuild it. Like no matter what happens, you will be fine. The fact that you're even watching this video, like think about it. If you're watching this, you're probably young, probably about to finish high school, or you're in college, and look at everyone around you. Like they're all, for lack of a better term, like they're cooked, bro. They're addicted to TikTok. They have no fucking plan for what they want to do about with their life. And now, like, we don't want to talk about normies because we don't associate ourselves with normies. But the fact as well that you're watching this video differentiates you from everyone else. So, you know, you've already got that special something. So you'll be all right. But anyway, yeah. What helped me solve this is I kept my head. You never want to lose your head. You never want to doom. You always, like, even if things are going to shit, you need to act like they aren't. And I figured out what was broken, right? And what was broken was operations, right? Very, very simple. I was way too deep in operations and that was bleeding us money. I was doing everything myself, quality checking everything, managing everyone. And, you know, there was nothing left of me for the high leverage stuff like sales, strategy, growth, right? I was the ceiling of my own business. You might think like, yo, if you're going through fires with the agency, should you not like go in and fix things? Yeah, sure, but only to a point, right? The reason this even happened in the first place because I held on to stuff for way too long. I didn't hire in advance. And then, you know, when we had so much demand, we just weren't able to meet it because I'm only one person. And I needed to change that, right? I really, really did. And I did. So yeah, November and December, absolutely fucking shit, but we recovered. I brought on, actually, yeah, let's get into the story. So February of this year, 2026, agency revenue had actually gone down, by the way. November, we did 15, December, we did 23, absolutely fucking horrible. But January, we went back up. We did 33. And in February of this year, I went on a trip with one of my close friends. His name is Jay. He's actually sitting in front of me right now. But he's one of the most talented people I've ever met when it comes to sales and just business in general. We were like friends before that, before like any of this. And on that trip, I convinced him to come work with me. And this was honestly the second, this and what we're going to go through below, I tie them together. But this was the second biggest unlock of like my entire journey because something I need to be honest with, like I never really was that good at sales. Like marketing, I'm fucking good. I can send the best fucking cold outreach DM in the world. But with closing, I wasn't really that good. I don't know why. But yeah, I was leaving money on the table constantly. I was selling packages too cheap because I didn't have the confidence to charge like what the service was actually worth. And I brought in Jay and he changed that immediately. He's a demon on fucking calls. The combination of his sales ability and, mine to deliver really good fucking YouTube results for my clients, as you guys saw earlier in the Miro board, like that's when things got serious. And not just that, okay? Because I'm going to give Jay more credit because I'm kind of underselling him a lot here. He didn't just help with fucking sales. He helped with the entire back end. We brought out proper systems for clients. We built out proper systems that would actually work at scale. And we made sure everyone was happy. I actually, like February with Jay is when we fully locked in, but I brought him on in November when things were actually, it wasn't even my idea. I wanted to hire a CSM to just take care of client communication. That was going to absolutely flop. But he called me one day, because to give you a bit more context, right? He's a growth operator, so he has like his own growth operating agency. And I had one of his clients that I was doing short form for, and it wasn't going that well. So he called me, and I was like, you know what, bro? Just bring me on. I'll help you fix it, and we'll take it from there. And he really, in November and December, he fucking saved us. Like, he was able to come in, he was able to help manage the client relationships effectively, and we were able to, get back to where we were, get out of agency hell. And then in February, we fully decided to partner up, and that's when we locked the fuck in. And also in February, we went on the same trip in Cape Town. I'm sure you've seen it on my Instagram. It has 4,000 likes for some reason. It's pretty fucking sick. We brought Yusuf in, my COO. He was the former head of content for Jacob Levenrad. Absolute fucking killer. Really goated with short form. Really goated with operations. I poached his ass from Jacob. And now we had a real team. It wasn't just me and some editors. We had a real fucking operation. We have a COO, we have a CBO, and we have me, fucking CEO. But yeah, now I bought back my time, right? Yusuf was taking care of ops. Jay was taking care of, like, the client relationships on the back end and making sure we're actually making the correct decisions to scale the business. And I look back in on outreach, okay? I came up with a new method for outreach, Evergreen Loom, that I send at scale. I lead with client results. I make the prospects a very good offer that they'd be stupid enough to ignore. And I remember on March 19th, I sent an outreach in the morning. This is, it's fucking crazy. This was the exact day because there was a bit of lag, like getting like Yusuf and Jay like fully like locked in with the agency. And then once I did, I fully focused on outreach. And then that day, the 19th of March, I sent a message in the morning. And then the same day in the night, I closed the client for 4K. Same day. And then that's when something clicked, right? I looked at that and I thought, like, this is what happens when I actually do the thing, right? This is when I do the thing that I'm actually supposed to be focused on, that actually moves the needle forward. Like, every single day I don't do outreach, I'm leaving money on the table. So guess what I did? I did it every day after that, no exceptions. We raised prices, I got out of ops, Jay closed, and then he also managed the show on the back end. Yusuf delivered, and I just focused on client strategy and growth, right? March was our record month collectively between the three of us, 150K, right? Absolutely fucking ripped. And why is that? Because we started focusing on the right things and things that we needed to focus on. So, section 8, last one. We're going to wrap this up now. But, what built this? Like, what's the real essence? Because I've walked you through my story at a very, we didn't get that much into the nitty gritties, but what can you take away from this and use for your own business to drive that forward? So yeah, I've told you the story. Let me tell you what this actually means, because I don't want you to just walk away from, like, if you walk away from this video thinking the lesson is grind harder, then I failed, because it's not, right? As a business owner, and this is a bit of a side note, as a business owner, if you're a cycle like me, you want to work 12, 14 hours a day every single day, that's fine, 100%, go ahead and do that. But you should be fine working 4 hours a day if you're working on the right things, right? If you're working 14 hours every single day, fucking replying to clients, stuck in fulfillment, stuck in low leverage toss, well, you're not grinding, you're just fucking stupid. And I know that because I was that person for a long time. I would have like this super long to-do list. I have my to-do list book right here. I think my ruler just dropped. No, I didn't. I have this to-do list book right here. I had my old one was double the size of this. Every day the fucking page would be filled to the brim, and it was stuff that I could easily outsource. Like it was easy stuff that I should have honestly not be doing. My time was not valuably spent there, but because my head was so twisted and I kept like holding on to everything for so long because thinking everyone could not do like what I do 100%, that caused me to hold on to it and just put on like I had no reason to be doing all of that, and I did. But anyway, a bit of a tangent. We'll get into like the actual lessons and what I have here. But as a business owner, you want to work 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, sure, go ahead, but make sure you're working on the things that actually move the needle, right? And instead of just using it as an excuse because you're afraid of hiring. But yeah, lesson 1, offer is everything, right? I started off as an editor charging whatever I could get. Then, I changed to doing like a bit more of a hybrid done for you short form package. Then YouTube. then like fully done for you scripting, editing strategy. And then also I added like a revenue share on top of the retainer, right? And that made us a lot more fucking money. That's why we were able to do 150K. But every time I leveled up the offer, I gave a more complete result, took more off of the client's plate, and I was able to charge more, make more money, and attract better clients, right? Don't just sell a deliverable. Like, you can't just sell editing videos. That is so fucking stupid. No one is going to buy that. Sell an outcome, okay? I'm going to get your YouTube dialed in, make you 100K a month organic off of YouTube. If you're a beginner, maybe you can't make a claim like that. Not with the results like we've gotten from our agency, we've done that for multiple clients, but have some kind of outcome. Everyone talks about offers, like, yeah, like I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but just make sure you have a good offer and make sure you can actually deliver it, which is going to lead us into the next thing, right? Lesson 2, the most important fucking lesson: do good work always, okay? It sounds obvious, but it's not obvious enough, because most people stop doing great work when they start scaling. Every referral I've gotten, and something I want to mention, I wasn't always that consistent with outreach. And despite that, just because of, the good work that I kept doing and that I had doing, like, that drove the business for a very, very long time. And the reason why I'm telling you as well, people stop doing great work when they start scaling, I did that for a little bit and fucked it up a bit, right? You have to understand, like, the info space is very, very small, and like, it's really easy to tarnish your reputation if you do bad work. So always do good work, but at the same time, because the space is so small, if you do good work, your name will get around more. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Like, yeah, referrals drove the business from a long time, right? Every referral I've gotten came from someone I did genuinely exceptional work for. Like we mentioned earlier, Ben pinned my contact in his program. We had the boy fucking Philip Karch, whose YouTube I ran up, literally referring me to every single person he knows. Alex too as well. Like, all of it came from doing good work that was good enough that people felt compelled to tell others about it. And here's the thing, right? Like I said earlier, you can only guarantee results up to a certain point, but what you can guarantee is an absolutely exceptional service that makes clients think like, damn, this guy cares about me. Even to this day, like, one of the reasons why our agency has done so well and does so well is because we're very one-to-one with our clients. When we land a client, and if you're a potential client watching this for some reason, this is something to keep in mind. But when we land a client, we don't just throw them off to some fucking junior account manager. We're very, very one-to-one with our clients. Like, whenever our clients have like issues with filming, they call us, right? And we pick up, we tell them this on onboarding. If you ever have an issue, you can call us. The only time we won't answer is if we're sleeping or if we're doing something haram. So just something to keep in mind. So yeah, do good work. Your name will get around, and if you're doing outreach on top of that and you're getting good referrals, you are going to make a shit ton of money. So make sure you give your clients an absolutely exceptional service. And then lesson 3, stop being the ceiling, right? The single biggest thing that unlocked the jump from like 40K to 150K was getting out of my own way. Like, I was so deep in ops that I had no time for things that actually moved the needle. It would literally be 5 a.m. I would finish it or almost finish like the stuff I had to do, and then the last thing left would be outreach. And then this is also another thing, like, the task that, like, always make sure you do revenue generating activities within the first 3 hours of your day. Don't leave it to the end, because that's the most important. But anyway, like, I would get to the end of the day, the last thing I would have is outreach, and I would just say I'm going to leave it for tomorrow. Like, no, fuck that, right? I was so deep in ops, I had no time for things that actually move the needle. And then literally the moment I brought Jay and Yusuf in and stepped back from day-to-day operations, everything accelerated, literally everything. Like, your job as a business owner, as a CEO, is not to do everything. You think the fucking CEO of Durex is delivering condoms? No, he's not. He's just making a few decisions each time, right? I don't know why I use that as an example, but I think you get the point. Like, your job as a CEO is to find the right people, give them the right roles, let them shine in their roles too as well. Don't micromanage them. That was something I did for a while, where I was still holding on to things for too long. No, don't do that. You need to let the people on your team shine, and then you just focus on the things only you can do. Like, me personally, I'm really good at fucking marketing, right? Like I said earlier, cold outreach, I'm fucking goated with that. That's how I landed Ben, by the way. Cold outreach, by the way, really, really good cold outreach message. And that's the thing that only I can do, and that's what drives the business forward. So is it not selfish of me to say, no, I still want a script because I don't trust the script writer I brought on, and then not do outreach and then not make any money, and then I can't pay him, right? So yeah, I digress. Like, there's so much, and I can make a full video on this, honestly, on like how to hire A players and get yourself out of the way. But the lesson is stop being the ceiling. And then lesson 4, very, very important. If you want to make money consistently, you don't want to fucking stunt your growth, and you want to keep climbing, outreach never stops. Okay, like, It doesn't matter how big you get, even at our level, like every single day, I am doing outreach, okay? I am doing mass outreach. I am doing Dream 100, personalized outreach. I'm reaching out to people who've paid me for one-offs to upsell them for done for you so it's more consistent. I'm fucking doing follow-up. Like, it doesn't matter how many inbound leads you have. Like the moment I stop doing, especially with an agency, okay? With an agency, you need to keep doing outreach for as long as humanly possible. That is how you're going to make money. That's how you're going to make a lot of fucking money, get a fucking SVJ, and then you can sell a course, and then you can stop selling outreach. But not yet. The moment I stopped doing outreach consistently, growth slowed. The moment I locked back in, you know, we hit a record month, right? As you can see here, this is when I locked back in on outreach. The same fucking day. It was a sign from God. And I've been following that sign ever since. So yeah, you know, it's not complicated. You just have to do it. Eat the frog. Do it as the first task in your day. And then also, don't be lazy with it. Be disciplined, okay? Be disciplined and have a system. If your outreach isn't working, look at why it isn't working. Don't do more of what isn't working. Maybe your cold DM's fucking shit. You're telling someone, hey, I can scale your offer, but you have no profile picture, no client results. You're not leading with any value. Don't be lazy. Don't do it for the sake of just doing it. Put some care into it, and then you'll make some money. But anyway, I digress. And then lesson 5, get guidance earlier than you think, right? I was stubborn. I thought I could figure out a lot of stuff by myself. And, you know, I did eventually, but that took 2 years of making avoidable mistakes. Like when you're buying mentorship, you're also buying time because, and this is also just make sure you don't buy a bullshit coaching program like a no fulfillment offer. Vet it, watch the student interviews, speak to some of the students, like make sure the coaching programs are like actually good. But when you buy mentorship, you know, you're learning from someone directly who's done exactly what you want to do. He's been in your shoes, he's been out and he's been where you want to be. You're like, all of the mistakes you would have run into, you have now solved by just getting the correct guidance and executing upon that. Whereas if you decided to do it by yourself because you want to save a bit of money, you want to be a penny pincher, yeah, sure, you might save money in the short term, but it's going to cost you and it's going to stunt your growth. So yeah, whatchamacallit, like buying Client Ascension at fucking 16 was scary, bro. I did not have 12 bands to just drop casually like that, but I did. And it was one of the best decisions of my entire business life and my life as a whole. Because of them, I made fucking $7,500 on my birthday, on my 17th birthday. I posted that shit on Instagram, and then, you know, I got so many bitches, but I digress. Anyway, yeah, finding the right people to learn from shortens the road by months, maybe even years. So don't be the version of me that does everything the hard way because you're too proud to ask for help. Like, ask for help. It's going to make you so much more money. But yeah, boys, that is the story from editing on a really, really shit PC. I think I got it for $50 at 15 in South Africa to 150K at months at 19. As you can see here, rented a G-Wagon. This was a crib we had in Cape Town. I have so many more LARP photos. I should have added more, but yeah, you know, I didn't make this video to like, you know, flex on you and say, hey, like, look at me. I made it because like every single one of these lessons I just gave you, I learned by doing the wrong thing first, right? So, you know, if you're watching this, if you can, you know, take what I just gave you, implement it, make it unique to your own situation, you're gonna, you'll save so much time. And, you know, yeah, like I said, if this video saves even one person watching 6 months of spinning their wheels doing low leverage stuff, then it was worth making, right? So yeah, obviously I'm gonna keep crushing with the agency, but I realized I do have a lot of value to give to you guys who also want to start your own agency. So I'm building something new, a place basically where I'm giving like proper sauce on how to actually build and scale an agency, not the surface level stuff you see everywhere, because like I run this shit like for real. This is what I do every day. It's my bread and butter and I fucking love it. So, and I thought I'll just give some real sauce. So there's a link in the description to a free Telegram group. It's something I actually did a while ago, funnily enough, in 2023. I think it was called Teenage Money or whatever the fuck. I would just send, but I was a retard back then. So there was no value, but it is there's a link to a free Telegram group in the description. I'm going to be sending voice memos there every day. Just the thoughts I have, just some like sauce you guys can use for actually scaling your agency from someone who does this shit for real. So that's the first link in the description. It's free. There's not going to be any fucking upsell. I'm just doing this because this is something the younger version of me needed. Like another part that I also didn't mention is when I started, I did buy a few bullshit courses that didn't do shit for me. I won't name what it is because I did end up getting value from it. I bought, basically, side note, but I bought a Telegram group, and then in that Telegram group, I met one of my very, very close friends who then eventually like introduced me to Jay. But this was like 2 years later. I probably would have met Jay regardless. But aside from that, the Telegram group was an absolute fucking scam, okay? The only thing I got was like 8 different group chats. If you were in the money Twitter era in 2023, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, you know, just having something like this is something the younger version of me would have absolutely loved and killed for. So, you know, there's probably someone out there who's in a similar situation like me and just needs that help, needs that guidance, and needs it from someone who actually does this shit for real. So that's why I'm doing this. So yeah, and also, if you found value from this video, subscribe because I'm also going to continue posting on this channel, not just like fucking vlogs, but actual videos giving sauce on how to scale an agency because I enjoy it. Like I really, really enjoyed filming this. It was meant to be a 10-minute long video. The raw recording, I'm looking at it right now, is 40 minutes. I enjoyed it. It keeps me sane. So yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Join the free Telegram so you can make a shit ton of money, get an SVJ, not be a brokey. And yeah, it's rip.